So while Araz is
Oh,
getting
so
ready,
pretty.
I'm just going to kind of take the wheel
Thank
here.
you. I just did it last night in the hotel.
I'm Jordan Olabumi. I am a hair artist.
Well, I just like refreshed.
Chicago, and I am also the owner of Salon Snob. I've been using Megix 10 for over 4 years now, and I'm a full Megix 10 color salon, and I haven't looked back. And we're going to touch base on why and the logistics of all of that today. But I'm super honored that now I am a part of the Megix 10 crew, and I'm also a new educator for them. And it's such an honor to be sitting beside Araz today because she is the lead educator and she really, really is intelligent and amazing, especially with the Megix 10 brand. And Megix 10 for me has changed basically the way that I work and operate. And the reason is because it really works and does exactly what it says it does. So as long as you mix to the proper ratio on the instructions and all of that, it's going to work for you. And I used to be a salon and an artist that had, you know, multiple color lines. And because, you know, some things worked in this line and some things worked in that line. And so I had all of these different lines because I needed certain things to work for certain things. And when you know, it's always scary when changing to a new color line, but basically, when I switched over to Megix 10, I realized real quick that I only needed one line to basically show up and show out for everything. And that's why I haven't looked back, and that's why I've stuck with Megix 10, and that's why I'm very passionate about it. So, does anybody have any questions?
Looks like we need to get Araz to unmute. Give me 1 second.
Okay. While Jay is getting that set up, I don't know if you guys can see, but right here behind me, I kind of have a little setup for Megix 10. They have amazing developers right here. The best lightener, Megix.
Yeah, I just unmuted. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
I can't hear you. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yep. And this is how the packaging comes for the color tubes. They're much bigger than a lot of other tubes on the market as well.
Thank you, Lucas.
Oh, yes. So Michelle Kennedy.
So you want to give it about 5 more minutes?
Loves the lightener. It is amazing. Again, I've been in the industry for a very long time, and there's great lighteners on the market. Absolutely. But this is the first time to where I've actually met a lightener like this.
Say a little hello. Oh, thank you.
Michelle Kennedy says that she has trouble with gray. And yeah, so did I. Upon switching over to using Megix,
so they sell Megix here and a couple of other brands.
So if you haven't used it yet,
are you close by?
Definitely need start because it really will help with
Walnut Creek.
Yeah, 10-minute color. It's non-aggressive.
Okay. I'm not from the area, so I have no idea. I'm from Southern California.
Our business owners, I'm sorry, business owners, yes, like in the world, or stay-at-home moms that need to get back because they are limited on time or maybe brought their child with them.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Out of the salon. And that's the day and age that we are living in now. It's all about time.
As I blocked off your whole shopping center.
As much as they love you, they don't want to be with you all day. So for the super resistant grays, you're going to put this on, you're going to leave it 10 minutes. As long as you, again, like I said in the beginning, as long as you mix it to the proper ratio, then it will show up and show out and do what it does and cover those resistant, horrible grays. We also have this Megix 1-Up spray, which you can spray on the roots before applying the color if you have super resistant clients. And that just kind of helps with making sure, insurance policy of making sure that the gray is actually covered. I love this stuff.
I love that you're wearing your Megix shirt. Yeah, that's so cute. She's representing.
Yeah.
I should have brought you one. I would have brought you one.
So Araz, we're getting feedback that because we're talking at the same time, it's a little hard to hear. Welcome to Beauty Solutions. Throughout your trip today, myself and Andrea are here to be a resource to you. We also have Megix, who's one of our managers. We do have quite a bit of people signed up for this class, which is a great thing to be very late. So we can see them a little later. I'd like to thank you for joining us this morning. It means a lot that you're taking your time to further yourself and your education with not only Beauty Solutions but Megix. We have some refreshments in the back, so please help yourself to them. Also, our live broadcast this work in the Colorado Research Center, which is really exciting. So there is a webinar going on behind us that Araz will be also facilitating for as well. And over here we have Misty, that's also an educator. So she's here to be a resource to you as well. And we also have our wonderful Araz, who's our educator today. If you have any questions or anything from me, please let me know, and I'll hand it over to Araz.
Thank you. Round of applause. Okay, so you guys are going to see me temporarily check my phone. I've never done this before. This is the first time where we're doing a live class and a webinar at the same time. So we have one of our educators from Chicago who's online moderating, but she's going to field questions to me. So if you see me checking my watch, it's not that I'm bored. Turn up the volume for the, oh, she didn't have a microphone. It's not that I'm trying to check out. I'm just trying to communicate with what's going on in the webinar. So will you guys give me a little bit of grace with that?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, cool. Well, welcome. What'd you say? I appreciate it. Well, here I am trying to navigate the technology. I'm like, okay, I think we can do this. So I just want to make sure, Jordan, can you guys hear me okay? Just give me a thumbs up. Okay, awesome. All right, so like I said, you guys can wave hi to the webcam back there. Yay. Everyone's like, so like Leslie said, we had a bunch of people signed up for our class today, but as you know, it is raining. So if they do trinkle in a little bit, we'll give them a little bit of grace as well. So I want to start off by this, just for everyone who is here, how many of you have used other 10-minute colors before? Okay, let's talk real talk. What was your experience? Not Megix. Way too dark? What else?
Yeah, they tend to get darker.
They tend to get darker.
And also like the undertones, trying to get like that real rich, deep kind of undertones that I find sometimes like when I use Olive Park, let's say in
So you feel like with some other 10-minute color lines, they're not as rich. They look a little more like.
Yeah, a little more flat. And you kind of have to play with them a little bit more, adding more.
I agree. They're like ink. Yes, I've heard that before where it's almost like helmet heady. Like it's not dimensional. It's not pretty.
Spray the spray on it.
Yeah, like the spray. So you can only do it on level 5 because if not, it's going to get darker. Yeah. And how unrealistic is that for a hairdresser? Like that's not reliable for us, right? So, okay. A lot of what you guys said is what I've heard in working with Megix for the last 5 years. If those of you who don't know me, my name is Araz Nelson. I'm the lead educator with Megix, and I've been in this industry for 21 years. I always joke that my career can legally drink. It's been a long 21 years, but it's been so amazing, and I've been involved in education for 15 of those years. So about 5 or 6 years ago, I got a call from somebody saying, hey, there's this great new innovative color line. I think you should try it. I think you would love it because I'm a colorist. And I'm like, what's so great about it? And she goes, oh, it processes in 10 minutes. So everything that you guys just shared, I had experienced because 10-minute color is not new. It's been around for a long time. And I said, no, thank you. I'm not interested because they're too dark. They're progressive, helmet head. Like I like beautiful, rich colors. And she goes, no, just try it. Well, if you fast forward 5 years, here I am today because I tried it and I absolutely fell in love with the results that I got. Okay, and so what I want to share with you guys today is a little bit more about Megix 10. Like, what is it that makes it different? What is it that it has technology-wise? We're going to talk about the spectrum technology. We're going to be talking about CareVeg 18J. You can go to the next slide. We're going to talk about gray coverage. We're going to talk about ultra blondes, color enhancers. and how you don't have to only use this on your level 5 clients, right? Like this is a color line that you can, if you choose to, use on every single one of your clients, saving you about, I mean, we calculated it, it's about 2 to 3 hours a day that you can save just by switching to Megix. So I want you guys to think about, if you had 3 extra hours in your day, what would you do? What would you do? Go home. That was me too. I was like, I'm gonna go home. I'm tired.
Literally, this has nothing to do with it, but I do a color cut in 38 minutes and a blow dry, and these 2 minutes, as my clients have. She
Yeah.
barely wants back to the. I can barely wash my blow.
And you're using Megix.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, wait, I don't understand. Yeah, it's literally, so again, 3 hours saved. So you could go home and be with whoever's at home, right? What would you guys do with an extra 3 hours?
Stay and take more clients.
Take more clients,
Yeah.
right? Like 3 hours, that could be 3 additional root color clients. That could be a corrective color client. I mean, just by switching your color line from a traditional to a 10-minute. So if you've had experience that was bad with 10-minute colors, today's gonna rock your world. So I know you're already using it. Who else has tried it? Okay, so you guys have tried,
I have not tried it.
she's like, I'm not gonna do it yet. I have to come to a class.
I've probably got my hands on it, so I've tried it.
Well, you're in the right place. So what I want today is that by the time you guys leave this class, by the time you guys leave this webinar, that you leave feeling a little bit more grounded, a little bit more confident in understanding how Megix works. So what I want to talk about initially is the old technology. So what we were just talking about, right? It gets darker, it looks inky. You can only use it on a level 5. There aren't a lot of color selections. So I want to talk about old technology because I think as hairdressers, we need to know what we're using and how it works and how it compares to what else is on the market. So other 10-minute colors are technically higher in ammonia content, and ammonia is alkalinity. So we're going to take it back to beauty school really quickly. What does alkalinity, high alkalinity, do to the hair? Yes, it swells and softens and opens the cuticle for hair color to occur, right? Yes or yes? Yes or yes? Okay, cool. Okay, so the faster that happens, the more aggressive it tends to be. So other 10-minute colors are higher in alkalinity, higher in ammonia. We talked about it already, right? You get unpredictable results. So they tend to be progressive. Who knows what progressive means? Continues getting darker and darker. So you said, right? Like if you put on your level 7, it's going to look black after 15 minutes. So that's the old technology. It's let's blast the cuticle open and let's pack it with as much dye as possible and hope and pray that the hairdresser washes it off in 10 minutes. But you guys know that sometimes we have to leave it on a little bit longer than 10 minutes. We can't risk it going darker. So that's kind of the older technology, and that's what the majority of other 10-minute color lines are utilizing, that type of technology. Have you guys noticed there's so many more color lines that are coming out with their version of 10-minute? Why? Why do you think? Huh?
People are like, want to get in and get out. They got used to maybe doing something.
Oh yeah, so people are wanting to get in and out. They got used to getting things done a little bit quicker. What were you saying?
Competition of other manufacturers.
Competition, obviously, yeah. But why would big giant dinosaur companies invest in a 10-minute color line if there wasn't a need for it? Here's the problem though, is those other color lines, just for perspective, honestly, they have their main color line and then they have their 10-minute color line, right? Whereas with Megix, every single color on that tube is 10 minutes. We don't have additional color lines. So it's not about just like, oh, me too, I want to make a 10-minute color. No, the philosophy and the mission and values of Megix has always been to the hairdressers, to help us save more time, to help us make more money. So in the back of your mind, just know that it's not just another niche line, like this is all that we do. So old 10-minute color technology is also very limited in use. With Megix, we have 92 shades to choose from, all that can process in 10 minutes. It can be a permanent, it can be an acidic demi, it can be an alkaline demi, we have high lift, and we have lightener. So every service that you do behind the chair can be done using Megix 10. So what is it that makes Megix different? Number one, we are a Ammonia content wise, significantly lower than most traditional color line. So typically, like across the industry, up to 4% is pretty standard, up to 4% ammonia. With Megix 10, it's 2.7% at our highest. So our high lift blondes are at 2.7% ammonia content, and then everything else is less than that. So our theory is not let's blast the cuticle open and pack in as much dye as possible. No, we want to save the integrity of the hair. We want to make sure we have shiny, pretty hair. So we're lower in ammonia. We're gentle in conditioning on the hair because of CareVeg 18. We're going to talk a little bit more about what CareVeg 18 is in a minute, but I just want to let you guys know the differences, right? With Megix, you can get 100% gray coverage and predictable results. Very reflective results. You've used it, right? So is it inky?
No, it's really shiny.
Really shiny, really dimensional. I mean, the results that you get are like what you would assume that you would get from a traditional color line. Just the processing time is significantly shorter, right? And like I said, it is multi-use. So let's talk about the technology, right? Like what is it that makes Megix 10 different? And we call it spectrum technology. So have you guys heard of micropigments before? Okay, what do we know about micropigments?
Inner part of the hair
Easier, right? They're smaller. So the dye molecules that are used, they're smaller in size, they're smaller in weight, which means we don't need to blast that cuticle open to get these big dye molecules in, right? They're a lot smaller, but here's what's different about Megix is the couplers that we use. And what couplers are is they take the dyes and they bind together and get bigger. So our couplers couple quicker. Okay, so micropigments get into the hair and then they couple and combine and they get bigger. Because a lot of people will ask me, well, hey, Aras, if they're so small, won't it just wash right out of the hair? It's a good point, but not with Megix 10. So once they're in the cortical fibers of the hair, they expand, they get bigger, which is why those of you who are using it, have you noticed it doesn't fade as much if you formulate properly, right? I mean, if you use like 40 volume on like dark hair, it's gonna fade warm. But if you formulate properly, don't you get on tone fade, right? And it doesn't fade as rapidly. So spectrum technology is what differentiates Megix 10 from every other 10-minute color line. And then I want to talk about CareVeg 18. So who likes working on damaged hair? Nobody, right? And who wants to be the reason of that damage? Nobody, right? So I think as we, I mean, a little bit, no. As we evolve in this industry, I've seen in the last 10 years how much more focused we are on making sure hair is healthy, hair is shiny, hair is resilient, right? So CareVeg 18 is an ingredient that's in every single tube of Megix 10. It's in all of our developers. It's in the shampoo, it's in the conditioner. And what its job is basically it's a vegetable-based, plant-based keratin protein complex. It's got arginine, threonine, cysteine, soy protein, and wheat protein. And its job is to help maintain the integrity of the hair, right? So as we color hair, we're degrading that hair fiber, and CareVeg 18 is helping to not rebuild it, but to help moisturize and nourish that hair. What it's not is a bond builder. So it is not like a Plex or, okay, it's not that. That's a whole different kind of technology. I refer to CareVeg 18 almost like a hair mask. You know how we do hair mask treatments in the back bar? Something like that, but it's in the color. So when you're talking about hair shiny.
Isn't there a spray too?
There's a couple sprays, yes. So we have.
CareVeg 18 spray.
So we have Megix 1 Up that has CareVeg 18 in it. And then the color defining spray. Ooh. Before, after?
One keeps coming in the kit, and I thought it was that, but maybe it's that one.
Which kit?
I don't know. Megan says it's like a. I told you buy 12 colors of these things.
Okay.
So it must be that thing.
Okay, I'll find out from you.
So
I will find out, and I will let you know. Yes.
So it does have.
It has wheat protein. Yes. So if there is a wheat.
I do have to pull that up.
Yeah. Yeah. So if they're celiac, I would say.
I read the ingredients and I haven't put my wheat on it.
Yeah.
I did see something with wheat. So
yeah. On the clients who have celiac, yes. Yes. So if your client has a PPD allergy and if your client has celiac, then you want to stay away from it. Most of the time, this is just in my experience, I would ask you, is it a PPD allergy or is it a PPD sensitivity? If it's a sensitivity, that's to your discretion if you want to use it. If they get itchy, 1-Up spray can help with that. But a true PPD allergy I've seen twice in my career. Have you guys ever experienced a PPD? It is traumatizing. Yeah.
I have a client that's allergic to EDT.
EDTA? EDTA, tetrasodium EDTA.
Is that in there?
That's a chelator. From my understanding, that's typically more in like clarifying shampoos. No, it's not resorcinol. Who said resorcinol?
It's in a lot of like styling products,
Yeah.
but it is in some color lines. So like I had to use something from.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh, isn't that a preservative? I think so. So I always have to check the label, but if this is not in it.
Yeah.
This would be
I don't know if it does.
She has like her loss because of it, and there's like a piece on top.
Got it.
So I colored it underneath, but I have to check every color.
Yeah.
To make sure it doesn't have it in there, even the shampoos.
Yeah, the shampoos is what I would check more because typically, from my understanding, it's a chelator, but it could be
I go to check those, they have to follow.
EDTA. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know for certain if Megix has it. I don't recall seeing it on the ingredient deck, but I can get you an MSDS sheet on it to make sure to see that because we have to be careful with our clients. Yeah. Yeah. But like I said, with PPD sensitivity, that typically happens over time. And you know, the #1 reason for that is improper post-oxidation. What does that mean? We're kind of going on a tangent, but I think this is important. Yes, a lot of people don't shampoo the hair well enough. And if you're using a color that's got MEA, you have to use a special shampoo to get it out. And if you don't, over time, they become sensitive to PPG and it turns into an allergy, especially in darker colors. So going back to our beauty school mentality, rinse, 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 make sure the color runs clear. Don't leave any color in their hair because not only can they get an allergy from it, but it can also make the hair color fade quicker too. So with the PPD, allergy versus sensitivity. So make sure your post-oxidation is on point. But with CareVeg 18, it does have the soy protein. So just be mindful of that. And it's in the shampoo, the conditioner, the developers, and the colors. So I want to talk, actually, let's take a time out. Do you guys have any questions so far? I'm going to check my phone. Any questions on anything I've covered so far?
Does your shampoo and conditioner get that
Yes.
off the scalp?
Yes. So
I have a level 1.
Mhm.
She gets itchy and bumps, so she leaves wet. She goes home and washes her hair like 10
really,
times,
really good. Yeah.
but she'll get itchy ears and bumps on her head and stuff. So yours.
Yes.
Help with that.
Yes. Megix shampoo will help with that. It's depending on, is she using Megix? Is she using Megix color to get itchy?
1.0.
Got it. Yeah. So you want to make sure to shampoo it twice with the Megix shampoo. And then we're going to talk about Megix 1-Up, which is going to help. What's great about Megix 1-Up is it's not just for Megix. So even if there are other colors that you're using, this is a really great product. I'm going to touch on it in a little bit, but just you might want to spray this on her as well. Okay, so let's talk about tonal families. And what I'm going to do is actually, before I get into this, I want to introduce Misty. So you guys will see there's a lovely educator to my right. So Misty, if you want to say a couple things.
Hi, I'm Misty. I'm from Fresno. I've been using Megix for, I've been saying 2 years, but it was way.
I think it's longer,
So
yeah.
I think it's been 3 that I've been stalking this lady online and eating up all her education. So now, I'm just gonna work on making me be as awesome as her.
Yes, she's training to be one of our educators.
But I'm here today to show you the different tonal values of placement or placement of
The colors, yeah.
colors for Roz. I was just like y'all, I had a rep, give me a tube and say twice. At the time I was using the TCA drops and putting my hands under feet to get them in and out. I was like, no, freaking fast. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll give this a try if I can work with it. And it was really, for me, I used several different lines and different ones. It was so easy to work with.
All of the ways. And we're going to talk about all of the ways that you can use it. So what Misty's going to do is we have our mannequin head. She's about a level 7, 8. And we chose 4 colors to put on her, and we'll time it for 10 minutes. So this is going to show a couple things. Number one, kind of like proof of concept that Megix is not progressive, right? Because she's going to do a full head application with 4 different colors. So some of it is going to stay on longer than 10 minutes, right? So we'll see if it's progressive. And number 2, you'll get a chance to see maybe some colors that you wouldn't typically use behind the chair. So what are the colors we chose?
We chose the 771.
7.71.
The
6.4, which is level 6 copper.
6.66.
666 red, orange. And 6.66. 6 points, so there's a point in there.
Yeah. Okay. 6.00.
And the 6 true neutral. So she will do that on the mannequin. The true neutral?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so that's why I like doing 4 quadrants on the mannequin, because most people, what's your name? What's your name?
Carol.
Carol, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Literally the #1 selling color.
Figuring it out. Just the area control.
It's easy. It's easy. So let's talk about the tonal families while Misty, oh, you want some one-up, babe?
Yes.
There we go. So while she's gonna do that on the side, we're gonna talk about tonal families. I keep hearing my phone, but I'm not. Okay, so the main 3 that I want to focus on first, because like you said, Carol, most people stick to neutrals and naturals, right? That's like our comfort zone. That's our like easy peasy, like my son says, easy peasy lemon squeezy. So let's talk about the different neutrals and naturals that we have so that you have a good understanding of the difference between them. So number 1, we have true neutral, which is 0.00N. One thing you should know about the true neutrals is they're the newest color family. They just launched in 2021, September. And that is going to be your go-to for gray coverage. That's your easy, grab what level you want, put it on the hair. You're gonna get great gray coverage for it. It was designed for gray coverage. Before we had the true neutrals, we had 2 naturals, okay? Yes.
So the 0.00 is like a double N.
Yes,
Okay.
it's not double pigmented, but it's the same.
Right. It's gonna be your stronger.
Yes,
gray coverage,
it's going to be
or
stronger
something
gray
that
coverage, resistant.
or
Yes,
fair.
yes, resistant, stronger gray coverage, a little bit more saturated, a little bit more opaque for unpigmented hair. But before we had true neutrals, we had 0.0 and 0.00. What do you think? What problem do you think we ran into with 0.00? If you look on here, she said, I wish you guys on the webinar could see her.
I told Megan, don't ever sell me that again.
Yeah. So, but here's why.
Double
Point zero zero. So here's what we need to. It was a big pro. What's your name?
Dana.
Dana. So you're not alone. A lot of people grabbed 0.00 thinking what?
It was a double N.
Double N, extra great coverage. This is going to be awesome. What is the background?
Yeah.
Yellow, orange. And people will text me all the time. I use 0.00. Why is it warm?
I couldn't figure it out.
It's all the time.
Maybe this will be different.
No, it won't. All the time I get pictures on my phone, on Instagram. Well, I go, hot roots, this doesn't work. And I'm like, no, but it does. Because it's supposed to be yellow orange. So we didn't formulate properly. Well, no, so think about it this way. Okay, here's the thing. You're thinking about only for gray coverage, but how beautiful would that be as a low light on really blonde hair? It's got the warmth in there and it's got the natural. It has its place. Yes. Yeah, the sand is beautiful. So here's another way you could use 0.00. So if 0.00 is yellow orange, then we also have 0.0, which is yellow green. So these are natural colors. They're not neutrals. So before, well, you can get up to 30% gray coverage with them. But here's the thing, before we had true neutrals, you had to mix those two together to get a neutral. You would add a little bit of cool, a little bit of warm, and get a neutral for gray coverage.
I think that's probably what freaks me out. It's like if you don't mix it perfectly, kind of like when old flex came out, like better measure.
Mhm.
Because if you use a
Well, see, you don't even have to worry though.
Right, you're like, like.
Well, if you use 100 volume developers.
No, I'm just saying, like, do we go up to 50 volume developer? We just put it, but it's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, God.
So here, what's your name?
Lauren.
Lauren. So that's why we have true neutral.
Okay.
You don't have to think about it.
That's the best.
You don't have to think about it.
Lower than 5?
As of now, no. But here's what I do. 5 is dark, and I mix it with a 4 half and half. So I do 4.0 and 5 true neutral. We'll talk more about formulas in a little bit, but I want you guys to really understand the tonal families, because this is where so many people were just like, I don't get it, because there wasn't enough education on it. So 0.00N, true neutral for gray coverage. 0.0 is a cool natural. Okay, it's a brown, but with a yellow green background to it. 0.00 is an intense warm natural. So it's going to give you that warmth. Very warm, very warm. We also have a couple of different ash options.
It's like our girl in the front row over here warm.
It was not that warm. It's more orange.
Like that on some people.
I level 8.
I don't know.
So, and that was before we had true neutrals. Good morning. And so now with true neutrals, we don't have to worry about that. We've got the gray coverage that we need. Easy, simple, no more of that, right? So we have got a couple of different ashes. Our ash is a blue-green. So 0.1 is blue-green. We have 0.11, which is a double ash. We've got ash violets, violet, copper, gold, mahogany, reds, maroon, sand. So every color that you would typically use is in this line. It's not just for gray coverage. So could we do your hair with Megix? We could. Could we do your hair? Can you balayage and lighten and tone and melt and all of that with Megix? You can, because there is a whole color line, 92 shades for us to work with, okay? So I know you're saying you're staying in your box of just the gray coverage. Hopefully seeing some of the colors processing today can give you a little bit more confidence in using Megix for every other service.
It's just finding I find it's a little dark.
Depending on what you're using.
I just use true. So I always bump it up a little bit, because I use gold though, I use full riot.
Okay.
And it's a little darker than full riot.
Okay, so
I had to just adjust it a little bit. So
there is always
to moving into the blondes.
Yes.
And the red.
I feel like it's darker than gold.
It is. Yeah.
So here, listen, so I love when this conversation comes up in classes, and I get texts all the time. Is Megix darker, lighter, or true to tone? And I say, what are you comparing it to? Because one thing I know in my 21 years, what I learned the hard way, a level 6 is not a level 6 across the board. An ash is not an ash, it is Italian. An ash is not an ash across the board, right? And so what we have to do is we have to understand that you can't just grab a 6N thinking it's gonna be the same. If you were using, we'll say it Goldwell, right? There's nothing wrong with Goldwell, it's beautiful. The word gold is in the name. So Goldwell is warmer. So anything is going to look darker compared to Goldwell, because Goldwell will always look warmer. So depending on what color line you're coming from, sometimes I've had Megix tell me, or people tell me Megix is like 3 levels lighter than what they were 2 levels lighter or darker. So the best thing you can do is make sure you have your swatch book and you compare not only the tones on the color wheel, but you're gonna compare the swatches. So you're gonna take our 6 and you're gonna put it next to your 6 and see visually, does that look the same? Or does ours look darker or lighter? And formulate that way instead of just, oh, I use the 6. Yep. Yep. I mean, no. And the thing is, that's what I was just going to say. And I would rather formulate too light than too dark. Way easier to fix it if it's too light. But the truth of the matter is, at any point in our career, anytime we bring on something new, there's always a learning curve. Is there a benefit to learning that learning curve though? What's the benefit?
More money.
More money. What else? What's the benefit of trying something new and learning something new? Knowledge.
You have one up on somebody else.
You got one up. Yep. You're now doing something that maybe some of your coworkers and salon mates aren't doing. What are you gonna say?
Like to see that it's still progressing.
Yes.
But it also makes them hella nervous.
Well, don't tell them until after you do it.
No, they're like, that was really fast
Yes.
today. I know. Are you using something new?
Yeah.
Like it's never like, or you doing something else like,
Well, because maybe they've been a little bit jaded, but my point is that learning something new is sometimes scary and frustrating, but there's so many more benefits on the other side. We have choices. And for me, just as a stylist myself, I weigh out the pros and cons, right? Like, what are the pros of me learning this new color line? What are the cons? For me, the cons were, I didn't know numbers. I did color with ABCs, not 1, 2, 3s. So that was really difficult, but it was a learning curve that was worth it for me because why? Okay, I could literally double my income. My clients can get in and out quicker. This is a beautiful color line. So there were more pros than cons for me. And so I took on the lesson took on the challenge of learning it. So the tonal families are, they're all on the color wheel. So if you look at our color wheel, you get the book and you see the color wheel. Every color is on here based on their background. So this chart with the tonal families and this image of the color wheel, it's saying the same thing. So when you go to formulate, you need to know, like say you're using another competitor or another color line and their ash is a blue violet. Our ash is really a blue green. So you need to know that it's going to look different. And this is what's going to help you with that.
and that's what can create it to be darker,
Yep.
darker
Yep.
too, right?
Yeah, if they're using a blue blue or a blue green, I'm sorry, a blue blue or a blue violet, it will look darker than a blue green because the blue green has a yellow reflex, so it's going to appear a little bit lighter. So you got to know what you're using. And I always say this is a colorist color line. It's easy to use once you learn it, and you have to take the time to read the color wheel. Don't just assume, okay, 6.66, yep, I'm going to do it. It's going to be bright red. It's going to be the same as this brand. It won't be. But that's not just a Megix thing. That's an industry thing. Yeah, it's everything. So the goal is that you leave a little bit more confident today with understanding the tonal families. And I think seeing some of the results are going to help as well. Yes.
Once you have the confidence, your clients will have the confidence.
They do. And I think to your point, if you choose to educate your clients beforehand. So I had a client, her name was Paula, and I used Megix on her without telling her. Okay, that was the first one. I'm just going to try it after I tested it on family. And we got done in 45 minutes. And she goes, wow, Ross, that was fast. Are you going to charge me less because that was faster? What do you think if you guys know me, what do you think I said? That's exactly what I said. I said, Paula, if you find a way to do your job better and quicker, do you want a raise or a pay decrease? She didn't say nothing. Nothing. And it was being very honest. Like, I found a way to do my job better and quicker, and you want me to charge you less? No, we're charging more. So when I first brought Megix on, I charged $25 extra for it. Now I just raise my prices and I only use Megix. And if I have to use another color line because of PPD, then I charge more. Because now it's more time, right? Okay, so any questions on the tonal families? Pretty good understanding? Okay, I'm gonna move on to 10-minute gray coverage. So this is one of the first services that you will start doing using Megix 10. You're gonna test it on your gray coverage. I was told early on by one of the people that I assisted, just a side note, I graduated beauty school at 17. So I had my license when I was 18, and the only hair I wanted to do was hair like yours and hair like mine. I wanted to wild, crazy, fun stuff. And the man I was assisting was like, do you want to make money? I said, well, yeah. And he goes, knock it off and get you some gray coverage clients. And I was like, no, I want to have fun behind the chair. And he goes, do you want to make money? Yes or no? And I said, yes. So he encouraged me very early on to get a lot of gray coverage clients. Why? Bread and butter, 4 to 6 weeks. They are there every 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah. Can you do my hair in the backyard? Sure. Yes, Carol. Yeah. All day long. And listen, that's what I do. On Wednesdays, I book on the hour gray coverage for 10 hours. 1 hour, every client, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. And then I leave the fun stuff for my other 2 days behind the chair. So bread and butter is our gray coverage. or gray coverage is our bread and butter. And it's so important to make sure that we know how to do gray coverage with Megix 10, okay? So I wanna talk about percentages of gray and percentages of neutral. So a lot of times there are some manufacturers who will say something like this. The percentage of gray is the percentage of neutral you need to use in your bowl. Have you guys heard that before?
Say it again.
The percentage of gray you have to use, or the percentage of gray that's on the hair is the percentage of neutral you have to put in your bowl. So like if the client has 90% gray, you have to put 90% neutral, right?
So
how does that work?
So is that?
That's not Megix.
Oh.
No, I'm saying other brands do that. And where my head goes to is what if I have a gray coverage redhead that wants to be vibrant? I can't put 90% neutral in there and expect a red result. So because of the spectrum technology, because of the micropigments, the way we ask you to how much neutral to put is a little bit different. So number one, you need to know anybody that has below 30% gray hair, any of the Megix colors will give you coverage.
Any one of them.
Any one of them. Below 30%. Now, when they're between 30 to 50%, this is when we're gonna have to start adding some neutral, right? Because now we have a little bit more of that unpigmented hair. So 5 to 25% of your formula should be a true neutral. Does that make sense? 5 to 25% of your formula should be a true neutral if they're between 30 to 50% gray. The more true neutral you put, the browner your result will be. The less true neutral you put, the more of the fashion tone or whatever color, that's going to be more vibrant. Okay. And now when we're dealing with over 50% gray hair, what we recommend is 25 to 50% of your formula being a true neutral. So if the client has 90% white hair, 25 to 50% of your formula should have true neutral. That's it. And you will get coverage. Now, if you want to add more, you can. But in order to get coverage, 25 to 50%.
So with the 50% number, does it need to process longer than 10 minutes?
No.
But if you have a no gray, it's more of like a medium, like coppery brown.
Okay.
But you have to give her a little lift, but you also don't want to give coppery.
So if you have a client who has no gray, is a medium brown, wants to be copper.
Actually like 5.
Okay, Mousy 5 wants to be a 7 copper.
No, like more like probably like 5, 6, like coppery brown red, but not more on the brown side, you know, because I can't just put red on her root, like, you know, the copper brown, because then she'll get hot roots that have to be neutral. But she has to do gray. Will you lower the peroxide, right?
So there's a couple things that you could do. For those of you on the webinar, here's the question. Client has a level 5, no gray, wants to be closer to a 6 reddish copper brown. So do we need to add true neutral? We need to add something so that she doesn't get hot roots, right? So that's where your cool natural, the 0.0 would really come into play and help you with that. You can put 2 or 3 grams of ash to help counteract that hot root, or you drop the developer. So you would use 12 on the root, 21 on the ends. But if there's no gray, there's no need to use true neutral. You can, but that's what the naturals are for, right? If you need to brown it out or you need to warm it up a little bit, you can use 0.0 and 0.00. 0.00N is really for your gray coverage because it's a little bit more saturated. It's a little bit more opaque. It's meant for unpigmented hair, okay? And then for resistant gray, if it's really resistant, you can drop down half to 1 level in color. I personally don't do that though. When I have resistant gray, I use true neutrals on level. For everyone else who's not resistant, I mix true neutrals with either 0.0 or 0.00, depending on if I want to cool it down or warm it up. Does that make sense? Yes. Any questions? It is still a 10-minute process, regardless. Resistant, non-resistant. When you're doing permanent with Megix, it is 10 minutes. Cool? Yes.
I have a level 3 and a level 4 gray coverage. And do you do half and half of the 0.0 and half of the...
I use a 5 true neutral and then either the 3.0 or the 4.0.
Oh, really?
So think about it this way. Because I'm mixing half my formula with the 3 or the 4. So the true neutrals are more opaque. So in my opinion, and this is not from the manufacturer, hairdresser to hairdresser, I think they're about half a level deeper than the 0.0s, for example. So if I compare the 5.0 and the 5 true neutral, the 5 true neutral is a little bit darker. But I want you to think about this. Any color line that you've used, think about all the color lines that you've used. When you take the NN at a level 6 and you take the N at a level 5, don't they visually look the same? Like think of a 5N and a 6NN. Don't they look the same from the depth? So with Megix, the 5 true neutral, because it's for M pigmented hair, it's a little bit more saturated, a little more opaque. So I would just mix it with the 3.0. Before the true neutrals, I just used the 0.0 in my level 3 and 4. And I didn't mix.
That's what I've been using, and it works.
Yeah, so then don't mess it up. If it works, don't add the true neutral. Is it fading?
No, but one of them's like, I feel like it's like growing out faster, but it's like grow out versus fade.
Fade is, yeah. Grow out, you see the line. Fade, you see gold.
So I'm not seeing gold.
Okay, then
I'm
it's
not seeing
working.
what you see.
Okay.
So I was just wondering if there was like a mixing thing that I may be doing wrong, but.
I don't think so. But if you want, you can add some true neutral and tell her, hey, I'm adding something that's going to give you a little bit better gray coverage. And mentally, it will change the way she sees her hair. Okay, so.
Totally. I mean, honestly, it'd be interesting.
Yes. Okay. So there's a question on the webinar and it says, what questions regarding allergies should we be asking in a consultation? I'll give you my recommendation. I think that's a good question. When you're doing a consultation, I would typically recommend doing a patch test on a new client if you're concerned. So I would ask, have you used permanent hair color before? If so, did you have any reactions? Did your scalp tingle? Did you swell up? The truth is, when a client has an allergy, that's one of the first things they tell you. They sit in your chair and they're like, by the way, you can't use dark color on me because I get allergic, right? Or, hey, by the way, I have celiac. I have a sensitivity to gluten or whatever it is. They typically tell us, but if they don't and it's a new client, I would just ask, hey, have you used permanent color before? Have you had any issues? And then if you're worried, you could patch test. If not, I have never had an issue with Megix. I had one person get itchy, but then I sprayed one up on her and she was fine. So good question, whoever asked that on the webinar. Okay, let's move on to ultra blondes. How many of you do high lift blonding? Oh, way more than normal. Most people are like, absolutely not. I avoid it like the plague. So Megix has a color family of ultra blondes. I'll pass it around in case you guys haven't seen it. It's right down here. So we have 6 ultra blondes and then we have 0.00. So the ultra blondes can be used in 2 different ways. One, as a high lift, right? This is going to get you 3 to 4 levels of lift using double 40 volume developer. And this is the only color family that processes longer than 10 minutes. Typically, how long do high lifts process? 45 minutes. I've seen up to 60. Megix processes in 20. 20 minutes. It's insane. So who's a good candidate for a high lift?
They already have lighter, you know, they don't have super dark hair.
Yes.
Or somebody wanting maybe like a warm skin, like a lift and tone maybe or something. So you want to have some warmth show through.
Yes. So ideally level 7 and above, ideally finer hair, and somebody who appreciates warmth, right? In that scenario, high lifts are beautiful, but they have to want to be a little bit warm, okay? We're looking for a unicorn. To get a platinum result from high lift is very unlikely. You can get significant lift. Now, another way you can use the ultra blondes is as toners. So you can use the ultra blondes as an acidic demi or an alkaline demi. We're going to talk about how to transform Megix into an acidic demi, but the ultra blondes are great for toning levels 10 and above because they're a little bit more sheer. They don't have as much deposit, right? High lift blondes are designed to lift, 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 and then deposit, right? It doesn't have a lot of tonality. So when you're using it as a toner, especially on porous hair, using the high lifts is gonna give you a really, really good result, okay? So we also have 0.00. This is one of my favorite products that we have with Megix because it's kind of like a 2-in-1, okay? Number one, when you use 0.00 with the high lift blondes or with Megix colors, it, as a permanent, it's an alkalinity booster. So with your high lift blondes or with your color, it'll give you 0.5 to 1 additional level of lift. Think about it this way. It's the same as the high lift colors without the tone. So it's got lifting ability. Cool. So say you have somebody who wants to be a level 9 copper, but we don't have a 9 copper, you could use the 0.00 to give you that extra lift. When you use 0.00 in with your toning formulas as an acidic demi, it acts like a clear to help dilute a little bit, to help refine so that you don't get as much deposit. You know how we use acidic demis and they have clear as well? That's what 0.00 will do as long as you use Megix Morph. So I'm gonna talk about that in a second, but it's 2 things. It can give you extra lift or it can clear out your toner depending on how you mix it. So if you do a lot of blondes, if you do a lot of toning, using the ultra blondes to tone is going to be a game changer. And I'm going to talk about why when we talk about Morph. But any questions on high lift blondes?
Do you have any formulas that you tend to use?
To tone with or?
I guess, yeah, to tone with.
So one of the ways, which is not to tone with, but one of the ways I use ultra blondes a lot. So I am Armenian and I have a lot of Armenian clients. If you know anything about Armenian women, they have very dark hair and they like to be lighter and brighter and they want to be blonde. 90% of the time I talk them off the ledge and I bring them to the J-Lo Beyonce family. And so I will use the high lift blondes on my dark haired clients to create caramel highlights, right? So I highlight all their hair with ultra blondes and bleach and give them that very J-Lo vibe. Yes. And then there's the ones that still want to be blonde and I'm like, I can't make this happen for you, but I will try my best. And then another way I love to use the ultra blondes, especially if I lift to a clean level 10, I love the 101, which is like a gray, and then a little bit of the 108 and a little bit of the 103. So I have a gray, I have a blue violet, and I have a little bit of gold, and it gives me the prettiest, like shimmery, almost platinum, but not white result. They're beautiful. So I would definitely encourage you to play around with them as toners, especially using Megix Morph to make them acidic. So super pretty. Everything you need to tone with is here. We just got to get creative in mixing formulas. There aren't 75,000 little bottles on the wall. Okay, any questions? Nope, let me check my phone. Oh, okay, we're good. All right, so let's talk about color enhancers. So the color enhancers are this middle row right here in the swatch book. These are not direct dyes. I'll say it one more time. These are not direct dyes. These are oxidative. What's the difference?
You have to put a developer with them?
Bingo. They need a developer. They come out of the tube white and creamy. They're oxidative. These are meant to enhance, refine, to give you more creative control with your formulas and to help you transfer or translate your formulas from other lines to Megix. So if your ash is more of a blue violet, well, we have violet that you can add to ours, okay? Or let's say you want your red to be a little more vibrant, you can add the red enhancer. So these are really to help you be more creative in shifting your formulas around a little bit. They can be used on their own, meaning enhancer plus developer as a filler, as like an anchor before a direct dye. So let's say you have a blonde, let's say you were blonde, right? And then you wanted to go that vibrant red. If I just put a red direct dye on her, how quickly would that fade?
Like a week.
you would sneeze it out. Okay. And then what would it fade to?
Like a brownish,
Like an orangey, yes.
rusty color.
Not pretty. So if I were to use my red enhancer with a 6 volume developer and put it on her hair first, 6 volume is getting into the cortex. So it's getting on the inside of the hair. And then I wash it out and I put my red direct dye as an overlay on top. What is that going to do for longevity, first of all?
Hold it longer because it's in the cortex, not just on the cuticle.
Bingo. And then how is it going to fade?
Less, like not as fast.
When the direct dye fades off the cuticle, this is what's left in the cortex. So great for that, great for filling, okay? These do not have levels on them, but we have to think about it as hairdressers. If we're mixing these in our formulas, this blue, for example, let's say I want to mix a level 10 ash to tone, but I wanted a little more blue. How much blue would I put in my formula? Little tiny little chocolate chip, right? Barely anything. Why? What would happen if I put too much? It's going to deepen it, okay? Let's see the red. Let's say my level 6 red wants to be more red. Can I add more? Okay. With the color enhancers, up to half of your formula can be a color enhancer. So with my level 6 red, I would mix half of this and then half of the 6.66. These don't have brown. So they're just straight tone. My favorite one to use is gray. Okay, this is my go-to for all of my Armenian clients that have dark hair that want to be a cool level 6 brown base. I add this to my ash formula every time.
I mean, it probably depends.
Half. It depends, usually 10 to 20 grams, depending on how much I mix, depending on where I'm going, how much gray they have. But to me, this ash lives at about a level 6 or 7. So when I'm putting it in my level 6 or 7 formula, I can put up to half. This on its own is really pretty to tone if your client wants a gray blonde. Beautiful. Okay, it's more like silvery gray, not so slaty. So the color enhancers are really there to help you. And I think they're the most underused and underrated colors around. So we're gonna take a break for 1 second. I'm gonna pass around our doll head because I wanna show you guys something interesting. Okay, so this is the 7.71. This is our 6 true neutral. That's the 6.66, and that's not violet. That is the copper. So if you'll see, that's the level 6 copper. They would freak out. It's so fun. It's so fun. And I'm going to show the webcam too.
Wait to see it because
This is 6 copper. Look at here, you can start seeing it. Yeah, that's what it processes like. So that's the copper, 6.66.
I was like, oh, 6.66 is so pretty for copper.
It's, this is copper.
Yeah.
And then 6.66 is a red, red, orange. Yes. This is our 7.71. It's like a cool brown. And then this is the 6 true neutral. You can see, can you guys see it? I'm going to bring it up to the webcam.
0.00.
I don't know if you guys can see. Oh, the lighting isn't good. Misty, can you bring my phone? Did you set a timer?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to shine the flashlight for you guys to see if that helps. So that purple is actually our level 6 copper processing. That is our level 6 red, red, orange. That is a 7.71 right here. And we have our level 6 true neutral. So I always love showing the copper processing because people panic all the time. It looks so purple, but I can't wait for you guys to see it washed out. Are we good, Jordan? Did you hear that? Awesome. Okay, so Misty set a timer. Which color did you apply first?
The 6.
So the red has been on the longest. So that's been on probably about 25 minutes, maybe 30. It doesn't look like a level 4 to me.
What? Oh, yeah.
Because it's not progressive.
Araz, I wanted to chime
Okay,
in.
any
about the
questions?
copper.
Is that freaking you guys out, the copper?
No.
It's kind of cool, huh?
I mean,
It's just the dyes.
Araz,
That
I
was
wanted
my,
to
when
chime
I
in
was
about the
testing
copper.
Megix, I remember I texted, I was like, why is this
Washed it off now.
purple? Well, I was testing it on a hair strand. It looks like a 4 double violet, yeah.
It's literally orange underneath all that purple.
What's happening here? Okay. All right, so any questions on the color enhancers? You know, even the orange enhancer processes purple too. It's really cool. Okay, so let's talk. Good to know so you don't freak out. Bingo, that's why I almost didn't pull the copper and Misty was like, I think we should do the copper. I'm like, you're right. Okay, so the fantasy series, this is a color family. There's 9 different colors that we have in the fantasy series. A lot of people mistake the color enhancers for fantasy, but the fantasy series is up here. And here's just what you need to know about it. It is just like every other color in the Megix color book, up to 30% gray coverage. They're just pre-blended colors. I call them oxymoron colors because some of them don't make sense. Like a level 8.24 is a level 8 violet copper, or a 6.31 is a level 6 gold ash. What Megix has done essentially is they've taken some of the more popular colors, put the thought into it for us so that we can just grab and use. I'm such like, it was funny when I first saw them, I was like, oh no, I like to mix my own colors. Yes, of course. I was a snob about it. I'm like, I'm not gonna use the fantasy colors. I like to mix and now I use them all the time. 8.24 is one of my favorite toners for a nudie blonde, absolutely beautiful. But yeah, you can use them with any of our developers. They can give you up to 30% gray coverage.
Toner, low light too.
Toner, low light, acidic demi, alkaline demi. You can mix them with true neutrals for gray coverage as well.
Do you use that on blondes?
The 8.24?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then you know what?
Like a nude low light, almost like a peachy nudie. It's absolutely beautiful. On level 8, 9.
Do you use a 10 volume?
I use it with our 6 volume. Yeah.
For how long? Usually.
5 to 8 minutes. Yeah, we're going to talk about developers next. So no, we're going to talk about Lift 9 really quickly. Who here has used Lift 9?
Nobody.
Who here knew that we had bleach? Okay, have you used it?
Not yet.
Have you used it? Why? Just kidding. I don't know, because I like what I like. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about Lift 9. I am also a snob when it comes to bleach. Yeah, you guys get little packets to try. It's what? Bamboo carbon extract. Yes. So Lift 9, think about it this way. Lift 9 was designed to be used with Megix 10. Megix 10 works faster. So Lift 9 also works.
That's what I didn't use it. I didn't know.
You're a little scared? I mean, it has a little bit of something special to it. So number one, it has pigment dissolvance technology. That's just a fancy word for Lift 9 lifts cooler than any other lightener I've used and stays cooler. So I'm going to share a little story. I'm going to grab my phone though to make sure I can see any text you guys can send.
That was a great one.
Okay. Not that long ago, a couple months ago, I ran out of Lift 9. Beauty Solutions didn't have it. We were waiting. It was like a day too early. So I had to try another lightener. Now, when Lift 9 was introduced to me, I was told it's a blue lightener, that it's amazing, but I had sworn off blue lighteners, okay? Who here has had a bad experience with blue lighteners before? Or was it just me? Yeah, like a blue violet instead of a white lightener.
It comes out kind of orangey a lot, I feel like.
Okay, kind of. So typically blue lighteners, for me, it would play tricks on my eyes. So I would open the foil, I'm like, sweet, I am at a level 9. And then I go rinse her and it's like canary yellow. And I'm like, oh no. So I'm like, I'm never using a blue lightener again. I want to use a white lightener so I can see what I'm going to get. So then they send me Megix and I'm like, it's blue. Oh, it's blue. Okay. So I'm going to try it. And let me tell you, the amount of toning I do has decreased significantly because the way Lift 9 lifts. So there's an ingredient in there. It's a blue pigment that actually survives in the alkalinity of the lightener and helps lift cooler. Versus what I found was other blue lighteners, not all, but most, the blue is just a cosmetic ingredient. So it just kind of like messes with us. This is, I don't know the name of it, but it actually is a blue lightener that survives and lifts cooler. I'm going to rephrase that, lifts more refined. Okay. All hair lifts warm. Repeat after me. All hair lifts warm. Oh, that's the timer. All right, it's time. All right, she's gonna go shampoo her and style her and bring her back. So all hair lifts warm, okay? So what Lift 9 does is it lifts it less warm, but it is still sometimes warm depending on the clients. There are a lot of clients I have that I don't tone because what the lift I get for them, it's beautiful, just raw. So I just acidify with some of the other products that we have and it's beautiful. There's also bamboo carbon extract, so it's anti-yellowing. And you can use Lift 9 in a multitude of different ways. So you can freehand paint with it, you can foil with it, and you can on-scalp lightener with it. Here's my only suggestion. You guys have the packets here. If you typically use 30 volume with your lightener, use 21 with Lift 9. If you typically use 20 volume with your lighteners, use 12. Okay, it's a potassium persulfate and ammonium persulfate lightener. It's going to eat through artificial color like butter. It's going to break down melanin. Amazing. It works fast. So, okay, so 32 volume with Megix. It works fast. And I have bleach and highlight and base clients that are in and out of my chair in about an hour. So I think you're like me. You work really fast. You work smarter. You know what you're doing. You want people in and out quicker. So try Lift 9 with 32 volume. Less talking, more money. How long have you been doing hair?
Same as you. I got my license.
We tired.
Yeah, 20 years.
We're tired. Okay, so you can use, she's like, just wait. Okay, so you can use Lift 9 to paint with, but here's what I'm gonna tell you, pay attention because this is important. If you use it to paint, there is no kaolin in that lightener. There's no clay. So you have to put something to shield. Because if I paint a piece of hair and I put it on virgin hair, there will be transfer with Lift 9. So just use like a mesh sheet or a foil, but you can freehand paint with it. Here's what you need to know about lightener in general. The power is in the powder. The power is in the powder. So based on your consistency and your mixing ratio will determine how strong your bleach is. 1-to-1 is going to give you the maximum lift. That's why we say paint with it. Okay. 2-to-1 is kind of in the middle. That's what we recommend with foiling. And then 3-to-1, less powder, more developer for on scalp. If you do on scalp lightener with Lift 9, don't go above a 12 volume, in my honest opinion.
So 1 to 2 is what?
1 powder, 2 developer. So 1 part lightener, 2 parts developer. For foils. 1 part lightener, 3 parts developer.
I don't care how many years I do this. I've never makes sense to me. 1 part
lightener, 2
lightener,
parts developer. So the more developer you put, the not weaker, but you're decreasing the lightening ability. The less developer you put, the more powerful the bleach is going to be. But here's what I want you to consider. This is manufacturer's recommendations. There's also an element to consider of what do you prefer. So for me, when I'm working on fine hair, I like my bleach thicker. I don't want my foils to slip. But if I know that I'm gonna mix it thicker, I drop my developer from 21 to 12 because now my powder is more powerful and potent. Okay, opposite scenario. Exactly. Thick, coarse hair, I like my bleach a little looser. I have to get it through all those cuticle layers. I up my developer because I'm using less powder. So I up my developer. So mix it to the consistency that works for you, as long as it's at least equal parts. Anything less than equal parts is too strong. Make sense? Are you gonna try Lift 9? Try it. I think you will find that it is probably one of the best bleaches you've ever used. So I had to use another lightener.
What does it come in?
Oh, it's a box. It's so cute. It is important. It's functional. But honestly, I put it in a glass jar because I buy like 4 boxes at a time and I just dump it in. Something you should know. No, that's one of the reasons why I've asked many times. So here's something though I want you guys to think about. Any lightener, this is just a little tip from me to you. Any lightener that you use, Megix or not, if it's a de-dusted lightener, dust-free, always mix, like massage the bag. Or if you put it, like I put mine in a glass jar, I always mix it before I put it in my bowl. Why do you think that is? Yes, there's an agent that's de-dusting it, it settles. So what can happen, and I've experienced this before because I put my stuff in a glass jar, if I don't mix it, the lightener on top is not as powerful. And then like my last scoop is like, boom, you're blonde. So always mix it up a little bit, just massage or knead the bag, get the active ingredients all mixed up and then pour it in your bowl. Any lightener that's de-dusted, not just Megix. Okay, let's talk about our developers. So we have 5 different developers. This is what makes Megix a multi-use line, okay? What happened?
Oh my God.
No, don't use 70 volume.
No, I used to work with her boyfriend and he had 70 in his cabinet one time and I was like,
Is it time we use hydrometers and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys were cutting your developer.
and you guys leave her alone.
Yeah. Well, no, I remember. No, I remember that. I remember that. Cutting the developer. Yes, I remember that.
I don't think they teach that anymore.
They don't. They don't. So we have 5 developers. You don't need to cut your developer with 100 volume and water. Okay. You don't have to do that. I mean, for those who know what they're doing, but then there's the not so smart people who use the 70 volume with bleach. Why is the hair gummy? Maybe because you use 70 volume. Okay, so the 5 different developers that we have, this is what's going to help you decide on how you want to use Megix 10. I think that's a question. Oh no. Okay, so 6 volume. Here's a good way to remember it. Fix is 6. Fix is your 6 volume. We have a 12, a 21, a 32, and a 40. People ask me all the time, why not 10, 20, 30, 40? What is different? Okay, so Megix lighteners or Megix developer is slightly more oxygenated. So maybe you've heard it put this way before. The developer is the gas, right? It's the gas that carries the dyes into the cortex. We just got a little more gas. There's just a little bit more oomph to take those micropigments into the cortical fibers quicker and make that magic happen in 10 minutes. Okay. Any questions?
You said the fix is 6%?
It's a 6 volume. Yeah. So when would you use?
Like your toner, you go back to that so I can take a picture.
Yeah. I think this will be more, the next slide will be more helpful. So that's what we're going to talk about now. When would you use which developer, right? So the fix 6 volume is when you're trying to do a tone on tone. So remember guys, the higher, or if the developer is the gas, the higher the developer, the further into the hair it takes the color. The higher the developer, the further in the hair it takes the color. There's more gas, okay? Developer has 3 main jobs, okay? Its number 1 job is to develop the dyes. Nothing will happen if we didn't have developer. Its second job is to create undertone. It fractures melanin, right? And then its third job is to deliver those dyes. So it develops them, it delivers them, and it creates undertone during that process. So the 6 volume is not going to create as much undertone, and it's not going to get as far into the hair as 40. Does this make sense? You use the 6 volume. Yep.
No.
Yes. So if you want a long, okay, so the tone on tone, back to the 6 volume, okay? If you're toning, you could use 6 volume. You could use it as a root melt. If you're refreshing ends, you can use the 6 volume. 1 to 1.5 mixing ratio, 1 part color, 1.5 parts developer, 5 to 8 minutes, okay? If you want a longer lasting demi or gray coverage, 12 volume is what you would want to use, equal parts for 10 minutes. For any permanent or gray coverage, we recommend 21 volume, equal parts 10 minutes. That's what Misty used. Misty used long lasting demi. Yeah. So remember, the higher the developer, the further it's going to travel. So the 6 volume will not travel as far as the 12 volume will. It's gonna last longer. Low lights, gray blending, blending out highlight lines with a root melt, 12 volume. Okay. Permanent and gray coverage is 21 volume. Like I said, that's what Misty used with our model. She mixed every color with 21 volume, equal parts for 10 minutes. When you want additional lift and brightness, we recommend 32 volume. So I will never, as an educator or as a hairdresser, tell you 30 volume gives you 3 levels of lift, because it doesn't. Right? If I use a 4.0 with 40 volume, am I going to get to an 8? What 40 volume will do is give you a brighter undertone. What 32 volume will do is give you a brighter undertone. So anytime you want more brightness, you can grab the 32 volume, equal parts for 10 minutes. And then we have the 40 volume. 40 volume can be used in 2 ways. One with the high lifts, so double 40, or you can use it with any of the other Megix colors, equal parts 10 minutes. I don't ever use 40 volume. So I'll just leave it at that. I don't use it, but you can use it with Megix for 10 minutes. Sorry, there's a question coming in. If let's see. 20 volume was used for all 4 quadrants on the mannequin. Okay. If you use 0.00 with ultra blondes, will it not interfere with the lifting if the percentage of ammonia is higher in the blondes? Okay, so the 0.00 will give you more lift when used as a high lift. When you mix it with Megix Morph, it will be more of a clear. I haven't talked about Morph yet, but I will. But back to developer, 32 volume, more lift. 40 volume is going to give you maximum lift. Any questions on the developers?
I guess with the ultra lifts, do you use 40 or
I've used 32 before.
Okay.
Yeah, with the ultra lift blondes, it's recommended to use double 40 to get maximum lift. Double 40. 1 color, yeah, 1 to 2. So 1 part color, 2 parts developer for ultra lift, and then 1 to 1, 10 minutes for regular color. Yeah. So you can use a lower developer if you don't want as much undertone, right? Because the higher the developer, the more undertone we create, which is warmer. So 32 volume might not be as warm.
When you mix the high lift with and you want it as a toner, the
6 volume, fix, yeah, fix and Megix Morph.
Okay.
What's happening here? Okay. All right, any questions? All right, let's talk really quickly about pH scale. Just like really quickly, we're going back to beauty school days. We covered this earlier. If something is alkaline, it does what to the hair?
Swells and opens the cuticle.
Yes. And then if something is acidic, it does what to the hair?
Shrinks or hardens.
Right? So acidity expands, or I'm sorry, alkalinity expands, acidity constricts, okay? So on the pH scale, if you look, permanent color is anywhere between a 9 to an 11. Ultralift blondes are between an 11 and a 12. Lightener is between a 12 and a 12.5. Demi color is between an 8 to an 8.5. So what we need to do is anytime that we want an acidic demi, we have to bring the pH down into this 8 to 8.5. And that's what Megix Morph does. So what I want you to think about is this. Alkalinity is also another way of saying lifting ability. So if something is alkaline, it has the opportunity to lift, okay? So what we want to do is anytime we want to create Megix 10 as an acidic demi so that there's no lift ability, this is when we use Megix Morph, okay? This is a pH adjuster, and we'll take the whole Megix 10 color line and make it an acidic demi so that you don't have to use those little bottles of liquid demi if you don't want to. You look confused.
I don't understand.
I don't get it.
And we do have that in the back room and I've never used it.
No clue what it is. Okay, so what Megix Morph does is it transforms all of Megix 10 colors, same tube, okay? All of these colors into an acidic demi. So let's talk about when would you use an acidic demi versus an alkaline demi? If you want a deposit only. If you don't want to shift or base bump the virgin hair, you would use an acidic demi. Think about it. When do you use those little bottles? Anytime you would grab the little bottles of liquid demis, you could instead mix Megix 10 with the 6 volume and Megix Morph. And it brings the pH down to make it acidic so that you don't get a lift and it's deposit only.
So that's like an acidic.
It's an acidifier, yep. Yep, it's an acidifier. It's a little tiny bottle. A little bit goes a very long way. Its pH is between a 2 and a 3. We'll cover it in a second. But right now I want you to understand what this does. So remember, going back to the pH scale, alkalinity means lifting ability. So if we don't want any lifting and we want deposit only, we need to bring it down closer to the neutral acidic side. And that's what Morph does. So now you have 92 shades of Megix 10 that are permanent, that are alkaline demi, and can now be acidic demi. So if you have small space in your cabinet and you don't want to carry multiple lines, you don't have to, right? What I always say is, anytime we typically use those liquid acidic demis, what is the processing time usually for those? 20 to 30 minutes on dry hair. Who leaves it on that long? You'll put it on and then like walk away for 2 seconds and wash it off. And then we complain that it fades so fast. But we're not getting full dye development. So with Megix Morph, it's the same process time as our 6 volume because we're using it with our 6 volume, 5 to 8 minutes. So in 5 to 8 minutes, you're getting full dye development, which means your color is not going to fade in 2 seconds, right? So
Okay,
when,
so I have a question.
yes.
So when, I'm seeing this person today, so this person has a level 4 on their roots. If she wants color all through her ends, can I do like a level 5 with the more so it doesn't fade on the ends?
Yeah. Yep, you can use it as an acidic demi. So if hair is really compromised and really damaged, we don't want to put high alkalinity on it. So you could mix Morph with your 6 volume and just make it a true deposit only.
And what's 1 to 20?
I'm going to go through baby steps.
The low light, which you, I mean, do you acidic or not?
It depends on the situation. So would I low light with an acidic demi? I could. I typically prefer an alkaline demi just because it gives me a little bit more longevity. Acidic demi is going to give you the least amount of deposit, or not the least amount, the most amount of deposit on like the cuticle, whereas alkaline is going to get in a little bit further, last a little bit longer. So anytime you don't want a base bump, you don't want any shifting or base lifting or bumping or any of that, that's when we're going to use Megix Morph. Now, Megix Morph is a very technical product. So remember earlier, I was talking about pros and cons of learning something new, right? If the pros are enough, it'll challenge us to want to learn that learning curve and learn, for example, Megix Morph. For me, the pros were there because I didn't want to have to carry multiple lines. I like the idea of my toners lasting longer. So I learned it, but there's a curve to it. So the higher the alkalinity of a product, the more Morph you will need. Okay, so high lift blondes are way more alkaline than like a level 5, right? Remember, alkalinity means lifting ability. So won't you get lighter results with a level 10 or a high lift than you would with a level 4? Okay, so the higher the alkalinity, the more Morph we need. So to answer your question, what is this mixing here? Yeah. Anytime you're going to mix Megix Morph into your high lift blondes as a toner, I'm gonna do an example. Let's pretend. I'm gonna come back here so I have a tabletop to work on. Okay. For every 15 grams of color in a high lift blonde, I need 2 grams of Megix Morph. So here's my bowl, here's my color, here's my developer, and here's my Morph. You guys are gonna do math with me, okay? I'm gonna put 30 grams of color in my bowl in a high lift blonde. For this 30 grams of color, how much morph do I need based on that chart? 4 grams. So I'm gonna put my 30 grams of color. I'm gonna put my 4 grams of Megix morph, but then how much developer am I gonna put?
Says you don't need developer.
So you need developer, not for the morph. I need developer for my color. So if I have 30 grams of color, 45 grams of developer. I know you guys are confused. Morph does not need developer. Color needs developer. So my 30 grams of high lift, I'm gonna add my 4 grams of Megix morph, but I'm putting 45 grams of fixed volume developer. I don't know if this is fixed, okay? Because it's 1 to 1.5. Remember our chart? How much fixed do we use? 1 to 1.5, 1 part color, 1.5 parts developer. Okay, does that make sense? So if I'm gonna use a level 8, 9, or 10, you see how my mixing ratio for morph is less. So for every 10 grams of color, I'm adding 1 gram of morph. Same thing with the developer, equal part or 1.5 parts to the color. Learning curve.
I don't know what you would be using in gray coverage too.
No. So when would you use an acidic diamond? To low light sometimes, to refresh ends, to tone a blonde. So if you use high lift permanent color to tone, and there is virgin hair on the head, what could happen? If you use high lift color as a toner, so like a permanent toner, what could happen to the virgin hair on that head? Lift, and you don't want that. So that's when we would bring morph into the mixture, okay? So that we don't get that lifting. So depending on the level of color you're mixing, there's certain guidelines with Megix morph. I have asked if we can simplify this. I'm like, can we just make this easier so that everybody understands it? And the answer is no, because morph is a very technical product. So you have to know how to use it properly, and it's a chemical. And like we're adjusting pH here, right? Like kind of like with your hydrometer. So you have to know, you couldn't just eyeball your developer to cut it. You have to be precise because we're not dealing with just easy stuff, right? So you have to be a little bit more precise. This is actually on your wall chart. You guys have this here. The mixing ratios for morph are back here. Okay, so, and it's also on the, you need a magnifying glass on the box.
And that's what I reference every single time I mix it. I just don't even trust my memory. I
just look at it just in case. Yeah.
So it's 1 part, like on the tauntaun.
1 gram
1 gram
for 20 grams.
Okay.
Yep, 1 gram for every, I'm sorry, for the level 7 and below, it's 1 to 20.
Gotcha.
Yep. So this is something that I promise, the more you use, the easier it gets. It just tends to be overwhelming at first because it's brand new. But it is a game changer if you don't want to have to carry multiple lines, if you want your toners to last a little bit longer. Learning this for me, pros and cons, right? It was a pro. Okay, so let's talk about 1-Up. I'm going to talk about 2 more things, and then we're going to pass our doll head around. So Megix 1-Up, you guys saw Misty spraying this on the doll head. I spray this on every single, I'm trying to get it in a bigger size with like a trigger because I use it on every single client. It's going to do 3 different things for you. Number 1, it's going to equalize the porosity of the hair. So when you're putting color from roots to ends, there's holes in the cuticle, porosity, different grades. This helps seal some of that and give you a more even uptake of color. Number 2, it's going to help get you better grade coverage. And number 3, it's going to help with any scalp sensitivities. So if you have clients that get itchy or tingly, this is going to help alleviate that. No more sweet and low in the back room, putting sugar in our color. We're not doing that. It's 2022. Okay. So you spray this on their hair. The polyamine sugars are going to help minimize that scalp sensitivity. This also, you just spray it on, don't get the hair wet. So just spray it on, comb it through, and then apply your color directly over it. You don't have to dry it in. Okay. Like I said earlier, you can use that with any color that you do. And then we have our shampoo and conditioner. We were talking about this earlier. If you want to retail other shampoos and conditioners and use them on your back bar, go ahead. My only suggestion and my only recommendation is keep Megix shampoo at least on your back bar and wash Megix out with it. And then if you want to do a second wash with whatever you're retailing, do that. But because Megix has, we use ammonia, we use MEA, like there's all these different things that could cause a buildup. Yes, and it acidifies the hair because it's a lower pH. So we want to make sure we're removing all of the residue, the residual dyes. So use this first, and then you can use whatever else you may want to use. Okay, so we always say the future of hair color is here. Are you ready to get with the times? I'm going to share our social media and encourage you that if you are on social media and you're using Megix, tag Megix, follow Megix 10. They love reposting people's work, especially if it's absolutely beautiful. So make sure you tag Megix 10. And then now we can show you our results. So Misty was awesome because she used the Sharpie to write down what the formulas were. So I'll pass her around, but you guys see that copper? No sign of purple at all. So I'll pass her around. You guys can see that, and I'm open to taking any questions if you have any. I'm gonna check the chat really quick.
Sorry, what was your favorite?
What is what? Oh my God, the 0.71.
So
8.71.
And 6 true neutral. Okay.
Or
like the GD.
yes, or 0.3. 0.3. Because the 0.00 is a yellow orange. No, it's a 6. The 0 that, and that was on for almost 30 minutes. Isn't she pretty? Wild, right? No, it was good though. Oh, it was, is that what happened last time? Got it. No, she looks good. She looks good. Okay, I'm gonna end our webinar here unless I missed any questions. I'm gonna bring her over here in a second. Hold on. Okay, hi everybody. Hi Jordan. Can you guys hear me?
Hi, Araz, how are you? So
I am good.
our viewers on our end would like to know if you guys use 21 volume developer on all of the 4 colors used on the mannequin.
Yes, so 21 volume was used on all 4 colors. Let me bring her here really quickly. Where's she at? Oh, we have somebody else dissecting our mannequin for a second. Here, go ahead. Sure, and then I'll pass her right back around. Okay, so Misty, I need your help. Can you shine the flashlight from underneath here? Okay, so here is our 6.66. This is the red, orange. This is the copper that looked like it was processing purple. You guys can see her okay. Can you see okay, Jordan?
Yeah, we could see it, but I know the copper in person, and usually it's a little bit more vibrant than what the camera showcases.
Yeah, I don't think the camera's showing it. This is the 7.71 right here. And then our last section is the level 6 true neutral.
That looks so beautiful. The colors are so creamy. Hey, Araz, do you think you could take a few photos of each, all 4 colors for our viewers so we can add it at the end of our video?
Yep, I just put my Instagram. I'm going to take some pictures and I will post it on my Instagram. I'm going to pass her back around. Here you go.
I posted your Instagram as well.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I got you, girl.
All right. So yeah, if you guys have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me or Jordan or anybody over at Megix 10. Check my Instagram in about 20-30 minutes. I will post pictures with outside lighting of our mannequin. And with that, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. like I said, any additional questions, send them over on Instagram. Thank you for being a part of our webinar. Bye.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, Jay.
Bye-bye.